Good deal. Yeah, thank you.
It sounds, you should start that recording.
All right, 6 o'clock, so we'll call a meeting to order. Changes the agenda at all? Looking to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Fair say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Agenda approved. Move on to consent items.
I don't like this month because we're so early. Boy, it really snuck up on us.
We'll take it ahead a bit on the monthly. The monthly one that.
We are a little bit, but there was a little bit of catch up that we had to do over the last couple of months. We had some issues with some of the fuel bills and stuff like that. So that's like a few months of payments there. So I think we have that ironed out now, so see how it goes over the next years.
Remind me that athletic trainer, is that full year or half year?
Half year.
Half year.
Yep.
Have any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
See no. Consent items are approved. Correspondence this month. Up before the suit. Good. All right.
I told you I might take a minute or two, I promise I will. In case anyone did not see the email, I did a print screen out of the December, January newsletter with a portion of the principals column here, because I wanted to just focus on something in particular. There are many applications, but my focus was, as individuals, we each have different experiences in our lives. Absolutely, all of us, even if there are some similarities in our lives, we have different life experiences and they influence how we respond to people, how we interact, and skill sets that we use. So I wanted to bring this up because that can be a focus of this prompt program here, are some life skills. Not that you want people disclosing things within their lives. That would not necessarily be a good thing, but you can help others to learn some skills to maybe take some things into possible account, maybe start reading people a little bit better, responding a little differently, both within the school thing. And remember, everybody's got relationships outside of that too, kids with various family members, other people in the community. These are skill sets that could stand some upgrading here in various respects. And employers would also like to see them improved. So the only thing I just wanted to call to your attention, if they're not already being included in some of the discussions that are taking place with teachers and administrators here, to please consider different life experiences that influence how people respond, and they may not want to talk about it, but you could treat them a little bit better and maybe do a little bit better with interactions and maybe help along somehow and learn some skills that you can apply in other areas. That's the only thing I wanted to bring up. Did I make 2 minutes?
I think it was fine.
Good job.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
On to the principal's reports.
Yeah, so I guess for us, the only thing that's really happened over the last couple weeks is we started our fast testing for math today, and we'll do reading next week. We'll have some data days over the next couple weeks that we'll sit and look at the data and discuss and see what, celebrations we have over the last couple months. But I'll bring that to you guys in the February board meeting with the actual percentages and results. But that's been the big thing over this week that we started. Another thing is that our students are starting to turn in their read to achieve stuff. So we partnered with the Iowa Wolves. If students read over 500 or more minutes, they're going to get Iowa Wolves ticket package where they get tickets, a voucher, a bookmark, a water bottle. So anybody that turns that stuff in. So just another way that we're trying to, make them believe in reading and seeing the good in it. And so those are two of the things that we got going on. And otherwise, that's really it for the last 2 weeks here.
From a secondary perspective, as the first semester wrapped up, right before the winter break. As a result of that, we will have an awards assembly, honor our students in different ways. Next week, we'll have some building awards and then some individual classroom teacher awards. We're gonna do that next Thursday. So you might be hearing a little bit about that. And then our professional learning day that's coming up this Monday. Afternoon focuses will be on getting our the hall pass system, that online hall pass system kind of up and going. We're about completely synced with where we need to be from on their side to our JMC system. So just kind of going through some of that with our staff and kind of showing them some of the nuances and how that system works. We'll take up some time on Monday afternoon, and then we'll look to have some training briefly with students, and so they can understand like what's going to be happening and what the expectations are with that. And then we will go into as Sue was mentioning, our prompt methodology, and just keep focusing on that so we can start to look at some of those vast diverse backgrounds of our students and our staffs and get some common expectations amongst us all. So those are just some focuses we'll have in our afternoon sessions this coming Monday. That's pretty much it for me.
Thanks, guys. Any questions for? All right, thanks. Move on to the soccer sharing agreement.
Yeah, so this will be an agreement for boys with Bondurant for our for this upcoming season. We have 2 that are interested, and Mr. Bond has had conversation with them. They're excited to have the opportunity to share with Bondurant. There is no cost to the district for the sharing. So if we have future opportunities moving forward with Bondurant, it may be a good opportunity to look into as well.
So transportation would be.
Transportation is not provided.
You have the student.
Questions on that?
And then just be competing for Bondurant for our.
That's right. Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the sharing agreement for boys soccer for the upcoming year with Bondurant for
Second.
Favor, say aye.
our.
Say no. Soccer sharing been agreed, approved. What about the joint city school work session?
Yep, I heard back from Mayor Bishop here yesterday, I believe. The council's available on April 15th or April 22nd. And so I told them I would check with you guys to see which date. Those are both Tuesdays. Just a reminder, that month we've moved our board meeting up to the 9th. So neither of those 2 days would be on the week of a board meeting. So I don't know, you don't have to let me know tonight, but if you wanna, if you can, fine, but otherwise I can shoot you an email reminder out. And I can just get back to them that way if that's a little easier.
22nd is better for me, but
22nd is better for me.
I think either works for me.
15th is better for Ray.
Yeah. I'll be on the 22nd, so. But, you know.
Here, but maybe they're not, I'm sure.
That's, I would say on a city meeting like that, if we're not. If it works for everyone else, just do it.
Okay. And I'll work with Doug and looking over the agenda. I think there's probably some items from the past that maybe aren't relevant to be on there anymore. So we'll refine that. Ensure that there's substance to the meeting as well.
one thing last year, we tried to make it less, so in the past, it was share out, basically got together and people read their updates, which isn't really effective this time, but last year we didn't really have anything in place for like constructive conversation. It like we got a little, we had a lot of circular conversations
Sure.
essentially. So just figuring out a way that we can make that structured and useful
Productive.
time for
Yes.
everybody.
Avoiding having a meeting to have a meeting.
Yes. Thank
That's
you. for
exactly
saying
what
the
you
obvious.
said. Yeah, that's exactly what
And
it said.
if they want to send the updates, they would normally basically read to you ahead of time.
Sure.
Great, and then we can decide what we want to have discussion on, but yeah, I don't want to meet to
Yep.
have people read me.
Yep, no, I agree, and I think that's something that I'll have a conversation with Doug about, and we go kind of plan this, so.
You're thinking too about the committee you're on now, actually, with the grant, the safety around the school, traffic and stuff.
Mhm.
Maybe we need to touch on that again with the one-way street out here.
Hmm.
You know, that was kind of brought up last year a little bit. But I didn't know how that would play into some of that stuff you guys been talking.
Yeah, there's already been like all the wish list, but we will have focus groups come in to the school in March. And there'll be a bunch of different groups, so we'll be reaching out to folks and they'll, things like the one-way street and all sorts of other topics. We'll come up with all the different groups. So that will be before that meeting, so maybe we'll have something to share out in that conversation. Natalie did a great job of those updates.
Any other questions on that?
20 seconds
I'm
firm.
gonna put on the 22nd then. just
Or
to-
that's what I said, 22nd firm.
Yeah, the 22nd has the date after, yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's fine, works for me.
It's late by your
Yeah.
evening decision.
Yeah.
All right. Are you gonna let Doug know then?
I will.
It's gonna do that 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I remember 6 or 7.
I think we did it at 6:30 actually last year, but I would recommend going at 6.
Bump it up.
Yeah.
We try to keep it at an hour,
Community members, right? That
may have been, but maybe keep it at an hour.
6 to 7, so I'll have that conversation with Doug. Next is the annual board work session. There's the agenda from last year's on there. We're looking at Monday, March 3rd and Wednesday, March 5th with some tentative times of 5 to 9 there. If there's anything you want to add to the agenda, let Julie know and we can get it put on there as well.
Yeah, I was thinking, just glance through again, and I don't know why I took this, like, maybe like a safety update, I guess, like, how are the doors working, security cameras, you know, just kind of a, do we need other things, maybe in that capital assets planning area or something, just
Yeah.
how do we feel about security in the building and kids and stuff?
You also instructed me to have that put on our meetings on a quarterly basis, so that'll be coming up in
Yeah,
our,
maybe that's-
in our March
that might be
or
good
April
then.
meeting. I can't remember which one. So do you want it in both? Where would you like? it?
Yeah, if it's quarterly, yeah, I just,
At least
it's want to make sure.
public then.
It's highly probable we are gonna see something legislatively come down again this session. That will probably,
Wider.
increase some safety requirements as well. So hopefully by March, maybe we have an idea of what that would be too, and we can discuss it then as well. Couple that have moved back into the district, so Moon always reopens open enrollment and allows students in the district to open enroll to another district. So these are students that we have had before moved to Waukee. They moved back to the new district and are open enrolling into our district, correct? Yes.
Motion to approve the open enrollment of Ariana Beach and Hayden Beach.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
So, no. Enrollment approved. Personnel.
Resignation first. We got Holly Jessen as assistant middle school softball coach for resignation, Dennis Vaughn as AD, and Andrea Berg as high school student council sponsor.
We have a motion to approve those resignations. Or any questions?
I'll make a motion. Oh, sorry.
Your resignations.
Got it. Thank you.
And for contracts, we have Ian Thompson as high school science teacher. He'll replace Bo Funnemark, and then Nolan Kruger as middle school track coach.
Motion to approve those contracts.
I'll move to approve those two contracts.
Second.
Fair to say aye.
Aye.
So you know, contracts are approved. That,
Just a quick, is that Ian Thompson? Was he a graduate?
Yes.
from-
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. That name sounded familiar. Okay. Thank you.
coaches track. as well.
Mhm.
Pretty happen here.
Mhm.
Anything under facilities and grounds?
The only thing that I'm gonna bring up, and we'll have continued conversations over this, is preliminarily looking into the initial process of maybe some restructuring within those departments. So I'm just gonna put that bug in your ear. That's something we'll push forward with probably in our work sessions and have a little more in-depth discussion on.
So everything they need. Questions on or?
Is everything still a go for the bleachers up during spring break or whatever?
Haven't heard any different. They know when our spring break is and so I believe so. Okay. I would imagine he's pretty good, so I would imagine he'll probably reach out to me yet before the week's over, is my guess.
And just a reminder, we had talked about that phased approach to replacing our roofs. Elevate will be here tomorrow to do some measuring, so we can get bids out for the first phase of that.
Maybe shoot that bleacher guy an email, Julie, just to remind them that
Yep.
that's what our plan is.
Our hope is.
Yeah,
Will do.
thank you.
Here's mine.
Yeah,
Okay.
that better.
A couple overnight stays here, the high school wrestling team, an overnight stay on Friday, February 7th to attend a meet in Rockford, Iowa. The following day, I believe wrestling and parent donations will pay for the hotel. FCCLA State Convention Cedar Rapids overnight stay on March 23rd and 24th. We had a calendar committee meeting Monday. And so within that meeting, we looked at both a 4-day option as well as a 5-day option. I want us to be prepared to have calendars for both, depending on how things go over the next month. And so we're kind of wrapping up the approval on that. Sent a survey out with a couple of different calendar options for next year, and the 5-day model, and I'm getting those results back in. So I would say that, we will, this is kind of goes in with the 4-day week. We'll need to make a decision on the 4-day week at the February meeting. If we decide, either way we decide, but if we decide to go to a 4-day instructional model, and if it doesn't work for some families, we certainly will want to at least give them a little bit of time to open enroll, or at least the open enrollment window, which ends March 1st. So that'll be decided then. We will not approve a calendar then though. Okay, anytime we approve a calendar, remember we have to have a public hearing on it, and then board approval. So we'd make the decision on either the 4-day or to stick with a 5-day week in February. We'd probably look at approving a calendar in March or April. I may push it back this year. The only reason I say that is I attended a conference today in Des Moines, and one of the topics that came up was school start date. Right now, it's a hard and fast start date of August 23rd. Well, the intent of the legislation was to not be able to start before the Iowa State Fair was over. Yeah, they probably won't come out and say that, but that's exactly what it was, right? And so that year, August 23rd ended up being that date. Well, calendars change every year, right? So this provides an entire week after the state fair ends that we cannot have school until the 25th. What the proposed legislation would do is it would say 3 days after the end of the Iowa State Fair. So it's a possibility we could see, or we could be enabled to move our start date up to the Wednesday prior to the 25th, whatever date that might be. That does impact our calendar, obviously, because we're talking about the possibility of 3 more student contact days and hours, and so that will change things. I kind of want to get a feel for where that legislation might go before we bring a calendar for you, for the public to discuss and for you guys to approve. So it's kind of where we're at with that. The 40-week update, like I said, want to make that decision at the February meeting. We sent some information out last week, the survey results, as well as some FAQs. Hopefully everybody got a chance to take a look at those. And then we are looking at a final meeting, a Q&A meeting on the 29th at 6 p.m. That would be here in the middle school commons. I've invited a couple of superintendents who have tentatively said yes to be here for those. Bill Watson at Martinsdale St. Mary's and Todd Martin at Sedell. We will send something out tomorrow about that meeting as well as a form for question submission prior to give our guests an opportunity to be prepared to answer questions and bring any data they need. We're going to require questions prior to. It doesn't mean that people might not be able to, we may have some time after those to ask other questions. But we also will have to reconsider if I get no questions submitted prior to. But that's kind of where we're at with that. That would be the final meeting. We might look at sending one more simple survey out to gauge interest on that and go from there. I did ask the legislative advocate today. You know, we've seen the amount of schools on a 4-day instructional week triple last year. And talking with those other superintendents around the state, I would expect that number to probably come close to doubling next year. So we went from 6 to 18. I think it'll probably be north of 30 next year. So I just asked if it was a topic of conversation legislatively. The response was it's a topic right now, but he doesn't envision any action on it. I think they're kind of just wanting to wait and see how things go. Probably give it a few years to get data, right? So that's kind of where the legislature we think is at with that. Questions on either the calendar or the 40-week update?
So the 4-day week, twofold, have we reached out about the SRO and if there's any impacts like from what they need to consider?
We haven't gotten to that point yet. We certainly could. I can tell you that one or two of the questions or comments we received through the survey was, could you have an increased law enforcement presence on those Mondays? Well, I would say that we could. But we haven't talked about what that might look like with the county yet, as far as, you know, or do we have that person here as an increased presence in the town on those days, or you gotta get us a 10% discount or something like that, right? So I have met with Growing Greatness, because there was some questions on whether or not we've met with daycares, and I think we can maybe look at some options as far as partnering with licensed or registered daycares from a space standpoint, if need be, on Mondays, if that were to happen. I think that's something the board could consider. But we're kind of reaching out to some of those providers to see what would their space look like, and would they have the ability to take on more kids if they needed to. So that's kind of where in the works with that. And I think the answer to that is yes, they could if they had the space. So that might be where we come in and be able to help provide a solution there as well. Talk to a private provider as well who had planned on maybe providing some extra care on Mondays as well. So we'll want to be able to have those options that we can let our community know, you know, hey, we've got some things available for you. I would envision too, if we went that route, we would certainly want to at least initially offer for every sports season some transportation for middle school sports if it was needed, or any activities. But those are all kind of the details we're still working on.
And then just seeing the results from the student population, do you feel like there's questions, or do you feel like they understand?
Here's what I will tell you, with every district that I've spoken to, our student results are the exact same as theirs. I do feel that that's probably the case. There's some misunderstanding on how some of it would work. So within the building itself, there'll be a process of clarification, both for students and staff, that we'll work through as well.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because they may not be somebody that goes to the community Q&A. I hope they do.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that there's some sort of extra level there.
Yeah.
Just-
The number one concern I heard from students was, this is gonna take away more of my summer break. You know? I mean, no, that's not the case. So I know that was a very, all the feedback I've gotten from students, that's their number one concern. How's this gonna affect my summer?
So we may do some, the same type of Q and As with kids and with, even with staff. We'll
Yes,
probably
that
have to.
too,
Yeah,
for sure. The teachers and.
yes, yep.
I think as far as the community meeting. I think we probably have it regardless, if we have sure questions or not. If we don't have any questions, maybe it's not worth talking till time.
That's
to come up, but I think
That's
it's-
exactly right.
I think we
Yes,
still need to.
yes. Yeah, if there's no questions submitted, we probably just wouldn't ask Todd or Bill to attend and come an hour or so.
So what have you seen in other schools when they did this and they told the communities, did ours come out about the same as others?
We seem to be trending a little higher on the either neutral / in favor of. We seem to be about 5 to 8 or 9% higher than other districts. Other questions on the 40 week? One of the last things I have is I had someone bring up to me the idea of complimentary wellness center memberships for retired Baxter teachers. So I thought I'd run that by the board. I don't really have an issue with that. It's, I don't know, really huge expense for us. Might be a way to reward those for giving years to our district.
Do you get activity passes too? Sorry.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
A lot of head nods, so we take it as positive. Just some tentative dates. The 19th, we'll have the board facility tour at 4:30 prior to our regular board meeting. I talked about the work session there. And then our March board meeting is on the 12th due to spring break. And our April meeting's on the 9th because of our district budget deadline. So a few changes coming up and some of those things, a few additional ones, and you'll notice this meeting's a little bit lighter. But we have quite a bit coming up in future meetings, so.
I'll get supper for you all on February 19th. Do you have a preference of where I get that? The corner store?
Just look at me, I'm not picky.
What'd you say?
Look at me, I'm not picky.
I'll shoot an email to you as we get a little closer, asking you what you would like.
For the facility tour, I mean, obviously we'll have a lot of discussion about the egg in the shop. Will we have anything to go over in terms of proposals around that time, or when are we taking?
I mean, we have a initial proposal that we got this fall, as far as that goes. Probably one of the biggest question marks that hopefully I'll know by then is we'll have a meeting with the foundation and kind of see what their level of financial interest is. And that will help determine kind of the direction forward with that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
It's gonna be fun. This time of year is just so busy.
Let's get any questions? Yeah, or
So everything, you good, I mean, say it if you did, but everything good, I mean, anything you guys need from us, I guess, time in, or?
I don't think that, not at the time, not at this time.
Yeah.
So we move forward, obviously, some of the bigger things in the process, like Julie said, there'll be some big weeks and months coming up.
If there's, as you guys prepare for that 4 day school week, if there's anything we can be doing to help you with that, just let us know. Thanks, thanks a lot.
that's what should we be, I feel like we should be more visible
On that one,
meeting.
sure, I think that's probably not a bad idea. And then maybe for clarification too, you know, certainly we'll want questions for those districts currently in the 4-day instructional week, but also questions specific to our district. And so I've already asked, ensured that Clay and Zach will be there because there's a high probability maybe questions will be more directed at them from the building level than they would be to me at a district level. But we'll also be there and it might be great if you guys are there to answer questions too.
Probably have you set up front,
Yeah.
with everyone, or with the speakers.
I mean, if they're gonna be, if we're gonna be there to answer questions. Are there answers to said questions that we should know?
We'll let you
Well,
know.
yeah,
You know?
once we get that developed as far as the questions that are coming in, I will go ahead and reattach the FAQs to the form that I send out, just so hopefully we don't get questions submitted that have already been addressed. But the FAQ is a piece that also can be discussed that night too, just to
Reviewed.
review. We'll have a tentative calendar available as well, because I know there's some specifics. I spoke to them kind of generally in the FAQ saying nothing's official yet, but this is probably what it would be. So we might be able to speak with a little more clarity to some of those things too, after having that calendar meeting.
Yeah, February is when we're going to vote on it. We should likely get a larger room. For the meeting, in case there's public that wants to have additional commentary.
Sure.
Good. Good.
I mean, I just want to make sure people are comfortable, because there's, right, Sue. Sue doesn't have a lot of space over there for more people to join it.
Make room for my kid. Oh, I know.
Good.
A little weird.
I know, that's what
So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Here at 6:30.
You.
Yeah.
You go back.
Tomorrow.